Chumash and Rashi, Torah portion Shemini, we're in the 6th reading. Okay, chapter 11, verse number 1. Dabar Hashem al Moshe, and Hashem spoke to Moshe, El Aaron and to Aaron, Lamor, saying Aleihem to them. So Moshe is saying to Aaron, okay, Rashi in number 1, Moshe El Aaron, LaMoshe Amar, to Moshe, he said, Shem El Aaron, that he should say to Aaron. So God said it to Moshe, right, in order to say it to Aaron. Leimar Aleim, that it should be said to them, Amar Hashem said that Aaron, right, to Moshe, that Aaron should say to Elazar and Isamar, his two sons. Or perhaps means to Lamor, means over here to say to the Jewish people. When it says, B'nai Israel, in the next verse it says, speak to the children of Israel. So that means that's the verse that speaks, that says you should bring it, say to the Jewish people. So what are we left with in our verse? So what does it mean to say to them? Who's the them here? So it means his sons, to Aaron's sons, which are Elazar and Isamar. He's just making a deduction over here, because again, the next verse over here is Dabra b'nai Israel. Right. Okay, Dabra b'nai Israel, speak to the children of Israel, we're saying, Zoisa chaya. So we're learning now about kosher. Okay, we're learning now about kosher. Gotta speak words of Torah after davening, or just go away. Learning kosher. We got to be kosher. Okay, next verse. Okay. So verse number 2. Dabra b'nai Israel, speak to the children of Israel, to say, Zois hachaya, this is the creature, asher teichlu, that you shall eat. Mikola behema, from all of the animals, asher al haaretz, that are on the land. Kosher laws, folks, important here. Dabra b'nai Israel, in verse number 2, Rashi, it's kulam hishva, all of them he made equal. God drew no distinction between Moshe, Aaron, Elazar, and Isamar, that they need to be messengers of God to the children of Israel regarding this. That's how important this is. Since they were equal in silence, they accepted the decree of God, bi'ava, with love. Wow, interesting. In other words, right, this is the Torah portion where Aaron's two sons died, and the brothers and the father accepted it with love. Therefore, the Torah is coming here and giving these laws, that equating them and making them equal, right? To making them equal in their reward for accepting it with love, what God did, right? This is the life form, Lashon Chayim, the word for life. Lefishi Yisrael Dvukim B'Mokum. Why is it called Chaya, life? Right? Because the Jewish people, they cleave to God. They are fit to be alive. Therefore, God separated them from impurity. And He decreed upon them commandments, that they need to perform commandments. But on the other hand, nations of the world, He didn't say to them anything, right? In other words, that they need to engage in keeping the mitzvahs in general, and specifically the mitzvah of kosher. Moshel Reifa, this can be compared to a doctor. Shenichlas Levakir Zachila Chola. They came to visit the young one, but case of Midrash Tanchuma is brought down in the Midrash. Okay, next. Zois Achaya. This is again going on this word. This is the life form. Malamed this teaches that Moshe would hold the creature, Umara Isal Israel, and he would show it to the Jewish people that this you may eat, and this you're not allowed to eat, right? Because it says Zois, this. This means like you're holding it. It's there in front of you. The Goimer and so on. Even creatures that are of the water. He held each species, and it showed it to them. It came by, and likewise with birds. So and these are abomination among the birds. Likewise, when it came to creepy, crawling things, this is impure. Again, using the word this, which means this, which is in front of you. So therefore, he's showing it to them. That's the point, right? Again, picking up the words of Mikola Behema from all of the animals. That an animal is in the term of Chaya, which is a beast. They're interchangeable at times. Okay, verse number 3. We got to really truck so we can do as much as we can here. Kol mafreses parsa, all those that have their feet are are cloven. Shesa, that they have completely split. Parsa, their feet are completely split. Milav's Geira, they regurgitate their cud behema amongst animals. This is what you can eat. You can eat. Literally. Rashi mafresis, kitarguma sedika, split. The word mafresis means split. Parsa, in Old French, poing, the sole of the foot. Huh? Right. Right. Shesa, completely split. So mafresis is split. Shesa is another word, right? So Rashi, Shemuvdelis means the hoof is divided above and below. In other words, the entire height of the hoof. Parnim, that they become two nails. Targumo, like Unkelis translates it, Shemitalfa tilfin, hoofed with hooves. Sheesh parsois, Saduka is melamaila, that their animals or hooves are split at the tip. That they're not split completely. That on the bottom they are connected. So they're not kosher, but that which is split through and through is kosher. I mean, one sign of kosher. Mila's gera, they bring up their cud. Mila umakia mimeha, they bring up and regurgitate the food from its inner stomach. And return it to the mouth. The kasher of the tachno hadak, to crush it and to grind it finely, in a fine manner. Fine animals they are. Gera cud, kain shmoiso, which is its name. And it has the same root of mayim hanigorim, waters that flow. So the cud flows like water. Shu nigrar acher hapeh, that it flows towards the mouth. V'targuma pishra. And Unkelis gives the translation of pishra. Pesha means dissolve. Shal yedei agera, through the cud being chewed in this process, the food dissolves and becomes softened. Bibahema, why is this word here? Teva Yiserihu, it's superfluous. Of course, we're talking about it, right? The Durasha, it comes to expound, shalil, to permit the eating of the fetus, that's found in the inside of the mother. Tzugizm. In other words, it's saying over here in the animal. In other words, the fetus that's found in the animal after it's been slaughtered is kosher. That's the point. Okay, that because it's a superfluous word. It you shall eat, but not an impure animal. But is it not already included in the negative commandment in the next verse? So why is it saying over here? Ella, but indeed, well, to make one liable, so you're liable by eating a non-kosher animal, right? You're liable to by violating a prohibition against eating the animal in two ways: one, a positive commandment, and a negative commandment. Two things that you're liable for, right? Because why do you have to say this you can eat? Of course. And others is that's a positive statement, first of all, not a prohibition statement. So, and the next verse is telling, or sorry, in verse number 8, we're going to have the prohibition. So here's a positive commandment. So when you eat non-kosher from a non-kosher animal, right, then you are transgressing a positive and a negative commandment. Verse number 4. But however, this is what you should not, you should not eat. From that, which choose its karma, frisa parsa, as a gamal, that the regurgitate or have split feet, and either have one of the two, but not both sides. A gamal, camel, David, David, Gamal, right? Himayla Gera. Why? Why can't you eat a camel? Because it chews its cud, but it doesn't have completely split hooves. Tamea hu lachem. It is impure for you. Besa shafan and the hyrex. Himayla Gera. Who? Because it also chews its cud, but it doesn't have split hooves. It doesn't have split hooves. Tame hulachem, it is impure for you. Vesar nevis, the hare, the rabbit. Himalis geirahi, it chews its cud. Uparsalahi frees up. It doesn't have split hooves. Tameyahi lachem, it is spiritually impure for you. Vesar chazir, now pig. Pig is the opposite. Himafris parsehu, it does have split hooves. Shesa parsa, and it has completely split hooves. In other words, completely through and through. But it doesn't chew its gut. Tamehu lachem, it is impure for you. Now here is the negative commandment: from their flesh you shall not eat, and their carcasses you should not touch. They are impure for you. Rashi and 8. From their flesh you should not eat. I only know these 4 that were mentioned, right? How about other impure animals? That they don't have any sign of purity. How do I know that? So that you use what we learn, what we say every day in the 13 principles of Rabbi Shmuel before davening, before the Kaddish. We say Kaddish in the morning prayer. Ma elu, these animals that we just mentioned, that they have some signs of purity, right? One of the two, asru v'chulu, they're forbidden. So all the more so is forbidden something that has no sign of purity. Psaram, their flesh, al bisaram. It says from their flesh. It should have said concerning their flesh. Well, Zara is a negative commandment. But not concerning their bones, v'gidim, v'sinews, v'telafim. So the prohibition is only on their flesh, but not their bones, their sinews, or horns, or hooves. Hmm. Yeah, okay. Anyway, could yeah, sounds reasonable, but let's continue. Okay, but Nivlosim go. Their carcasses don't touch Yochel. I might think, based on this, yeah, Yisrael Muzarim al Magen Nevela, that a non that Israelite that's not a Kayin should not come in contact with a carcass. Talmud Leimar, but the Torah says otherwise. Emar el Kayihanim. It's we will have in a coming up parsha. In Parsha Zemer, it says, "Say to the Kahanim." Kohanim Muzharim. The Kohanim are prohibited to come in contact with a carcass of an animal because they need to remain pure, right? In Israel Muzharim, but in Israel it's not prohibited. Kal v'chaymer me'ata. So now you have a kal v'chaymer from here. Ma'atu must mace. Just as impurity contact with the dead, which is chamura, which is more severe. Lo yizer ba'el kohanim. Only the kayan um, is prohibited, that they can't come in contact with with a more severe, which means a dead person, right? Tuma nevela kala, a carcass of an animal which is less severe, lo kol shekain. Isn't it all the more so that Israelites are not prohibited? So maltam et lamer, so what's it loisi go? But regel means in the festivals. Wow. So because here it's making no distinction, but we know already that the a carcass is only a Kohen can't come in contact with it because he needs to remain pure at all times. But an Israelite doesn't have to be pure. So then why does it say here, don't touch it? Because it's only in reference to the holidays. Because the holidays like now, a Israelite has to be pure because they go and make aliyah to the base of Mikdash. So they have to be pure. So at that time, don't touch the carcass of an animal that you'll become impure. Right. Yeah. Either it's a regular weekday kind of thing, or when not non-festival, an Israelite could be impure. They just, can't do holy things. A Kohen is always doing holy things. That's the difference. Verse number 9, and of this you shall eat from all that's in the water. Anything that has a senaper, which is fins, the kaskesses and scales, b'mayim, b'yamim, that are in the seas and the rivers, b'mayim in the water, b'yamim in the seas, and in the rivers, oisam teichelu, them you could eat. Rashi Sinaper Elish Shot Bahem, that which they swim with, which are their fins, with kaskeses, Elu, Klipas Kvuyim Boy, these are the shells that are fixed on the body. Shenemar, as it says, of Syrian kaskeses is Hulavush, that is wearing like a coat of mail, is their garment. Right. Verse number 10. Anything that does not have a sinaper, a fin, the kaskesses biyamim, or a scale in the seas, the nachalim, or in the rivers, because sheretz hamayim, from all of the creepy crawler, of the crop crawling in the water, amikol nefesh hachaya, from all living creatures asher b'mayim, that are in the water, sheketim lachem, they are loathsome to you. It's interesting. Before the term was by an animal, the term was tame, impure. They become defiled, and here it's loathsome. Interesting. Sanapir, Rashi in number 9. Oh no, we did that. Sorry, we did 9. We're in 10. Sheretz, crawling creatures, b'chol makom yimashmoi davar namoch, sherechish v'nad al haaretz. Speaking here about those are creeping crawlers that move along the earth. But it says in the water. Why is he saying the earth? I don't get it. Shekitziyu lachem, they will be loathsome to you. Mipsarim loisei chelu, from their flesh do not eat. Ves nivlosam tishatsu, and their carcasses are loathsome. Rashi in 11. Shekitziyu, they should be loathsome to you. Lesser ali rovehem, that this is meaning even if you mix them, im yesh bahem, if there's a mixture enough to forbid the matter, and in tam, when it gives a flavor, the entire mixture becomes loathsome. This is adding something here, because we already said that it's loathsome. What are you repeating? That it will be to you loathsome if you mix it into something else. From their flesh, ena musar, the prohibition from not eating ala sanapirim, regards to the fins, ala atomus, and the bones. Again, similar idea as before, because it says from the flesh. It should have said al habasarim, concerning the flesh. Since it says from the flesh, it means only from it, some of it, not all of it. That's the implication. And there should be an abomination there, carcass. So that was, you have hushin, to include gnats, synonym that are strained out of water. Hushin, gnats that are in Old French, muchenolias. Number 12. Kol asher eloi sanafar, anything that does not have a fin, the casqueses, and a scale, the mayim in the water. Sheketu lachem is abomination for you, is loathsome to you. Again, it seems to be a repetition here. Let's see what Rashi says. Kol asher ein loi, that it doesn't have matam loim. Why is it saying this? It's repeating, right? Shiachla, I might think ein li sheyemut. There's nothing that's going to be permitted that except for that which brings a sign of purity on dry land, and that which retains its fins and scales when it's taken out of the water. If it sheds them in water, from where do I know that they are nonetheless permitted? Because it says, says here, when it doesn't have fins and scales in the water. Why is it saying the water? Even when you take it out of the water. But what if they were fins and scales in the water? Even though they shed it when they emerge from the water. Mutter, then it's permitted. Okay, now we go to fowl. Let's do this a little bit over here. I'm going to be able to finish, unfortunately. Huh? Yeah. I say latisha, so, and these will be a sheketz again, loathsome. Mina oy, from fowl, asher lo cholu, that you shall not eat. Sheketz haim, they are a loathsome. As a nesher, a vulture. There's a paris, another kind of vulture. There's a znoya, the osprey. Rashi, 13. So here it's different because it's giving us the individual birds that are not kosher. Rashi 13. Lo yechalu, they should not be in l'chayiv to make you culpable ala machilam l'ketanim. It doesn't say lo seichlu, right? Previously it said don't, you should not eat. Here it said lo, they should not be eaten. Meaning that if you give it to a child, the implication over here is that if you give it to a child, you're also responsible, culpable. Shikach mashmai, so it's implication lo yeh nechalim, shall be eaten by enemy al yadcha, through you. Or maybe it just means that you can't have benefit from it. And it's not about eating. Talmud Loimer, but it says, it says in Deuteronomy, it says there that you shall not eat. From there I can conclude, Ba'achila Asurim, that regarding eating it's forbidden, Bahana Mutarim, and it's permitted to have benefit. Kol Oishin Emar Boy, all fowl that it says about a lamina to its kind in the feminine, laminai to its kind in the masculine, lamineu to its kind, another form of masculine, Yesh Ba'isaimin, has within that specific subspecies, she'ein daimin zela, they're not like each other. I'm not in their appearance or in their name. Yet they're all of one species. I have to look into this because I'm not clear on it. Point being, it's about that you shouldn't give it to the child to eat. Not only you don't eat, but you're right. As opposed to you can't have benefit. Instructions. Well, previously we didn't have it, but it would be applied because it's all in the same category. But the point is, the words where Rashi is being exactly on the words, right? It doesn't say you should not eat. It said it should not be eaten. Means, so what does that mean? Oh, well, but we already know you shouldn't eat because we learned that in Deuteronomy. So what does it mean it shouldn't be eaten? Means you can't give it to a child to eat, right? They're not eating it. You're feeding them. Don't do that to a child. That's what it means. Okay, we're going to stop here. Unfortunately.